Hey everyone, welcome back to the Jays with Down podcast. I'm your host, Jay Gay, once again here to go over some NFL offseason news with you. We have finally made it to the 2023 NFL offseason after what was seemed like a very short season in 2020 through 2023, and now we are in the driest part of the football and in the NFL football world. And we hate it because it's off season and we won't get NFL football back until next August as far as games but this is the good part. Now we got free agency and the draft coming up, the NFL combine. So a lot of that stuff to get to, and we will have you guys covered with everything like that in the next, in the coming weeks and coming months on everything like that. But today our main focus is going to be, of course, the season in review for the Detroit Lions. We're going to tackle that, and we're also going to go do a around the league update and get you caught up on everything as far as news and everything for the NFL. But before we get started with that, make sure you guys check us out here on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast is where we are. Subscribe, comment, let me know your thoughts there. Your opinions on who needs to do what and this and that. As we dive throughout the podcast today, just let me know your thoughts. Send it in, and again, follow us on our socials on IG, Twitter, IG, Twitter, TikTok. Jason Down Pod. Find us there. Give us a follow, check out all of our stuff, and let's dive right in. So, like I said, we're going to be doing season in review. This is a new segment we started a couple podcasts ago, and I'll be doing a season in review of all 32 NFL teams. Today on our list, we have the Detroit Lions, who had for the most part, a good season this year, I think. They went 9-8. Offense took a leap. They put up a lot of points per game this year, about around 30 or so, a little less than that. Defense, not so well, but that's something that's going to be a work in progress still. They got to get the right guys in the building and, the right coaches there and everything like that. It's going to take some time for that defense to grow and develop, but for the most part, I consider this a very successful season for the Detroit Lions. Dan Campbell's a guy who they brought in, and he brought that hard-nosed, work-hard mentality to the team. And, he said, hey, we're going to fight. We're going to scrap with you. We're going to be physical. We're going to hit you. We're going to knock you in the mouth for 4 quarters and overtime if needed. Like, we're going to be physical. We're going to wear you down no matter what. We're losing or winning. We're just going to, go and play hard for 4 quarters, and that's the type of coach you need, the type of culture and tone that you need in the building, in the locker room, right? And Dan Campbell brings that to this franchise, which is something that desperately needed, a shift, so to speak. And they needed a shift because the last, few seasons before, especially after the Matthew Stafford trade, they just need a revitalization, and so what do? They go out and draft some good players, obviously Aiden Hutchinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, bring in Jared Goff via trade with the Rams. A lot of Lions fans were not happy with that yet. Goff put up decent numbers this year and a little bit better than last season, so he's still mending on that, and honestly, I think this is going to be, the Lions really could be a playoff team next year. I really think they can be. They could have been one this year. If it weren't for a few things. But other than that, they play hard football. They're physical. They can run the ball, and they just don't give up. It's just the only thing that really I think is slowing them down right now is their defense. If your offense is scoring over or around 30 points per game or close to that, that's good. But if your defense is giving up 30 points per game or more, that's an issue. And so that's what the Lions are going to have to continue to work on moving forward, is getting the right pieces in the building, and just trying to get that defense back on track, maybe, for me, I think they really just need a couple of guys to get that started. I mean, you already got your young stud and Aiden Hutchinson on defense. You got a couple of solid guys on there on the defensive line, some young, unproven guys. They're going to take some time to develop, but, it's you got Jeff Okudah at cornerback who's had some injury issues, but he's still a solid corner, and Amani Oruwariye, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's a solid corner as well. So I think, the secondary still could use some work. But overall, so if we went over stats, Jared Goff finished with 4,438 passing yards, 29 passing touchdowns. Jamal Williams on the ground, the former Green Bay Packer, finished with 262 carries, 1,066 yards, and 17 rushing touchdowns, which was top of the league. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, the star receiver whose brother plays for the Bears, he had 1,161 yards and 106 receptions and 6 receiving touchdowns. So offensively, like I said, there was production for the offense. The offense did their thing this year. They were in a lot of close games, however, because of the defense. But offensively, they were moving the ball up and down the field very well. Getting first downs, just moving the football, staying ahead of the chains. The Lions did a good job of that. I mean, when they traded T.J. Hawkinson away to the Vikings, um, I thought that production was going to dip a little bit. It kind of did, but it not so significant to the point where the offense took a huge, drastic hit, right? And they continued to play good football throughout the rest of the year, even beating the Packers in that last regular season game, to keep them from going to the playoffs, right? So it's just unfortunate to see that Dan Campbell and his squad didn't make the postseason this year, because I think it would have been an interesting first round game between them and one of those top NFC teams, or mid NFC teams, depending on where they slid. But this is a competitive team, and this is a team that's going to compete in the future. They're going to fight. They're going to win more games. They're only going to get better. Guys, they're going to draft well, and it's going to be good. I really do think like the Detroit Lions will be a serious contender in the 2023 season. Like I'm banking on that. I really think they will be. I like what Dan Campbell is doing, the staff that he's building there in Detroit, the culture that he's building. Of course, I know that word gets thrown around a lot, but it's true in football. You got to have good culture on your teams and your franchises and your locker rooms. You got to have a culture. You got to have a good culture. You got to have a culture to where everybody's bought into what's being said, what's being done. The coaches are preaching what they're doing what they're preaching. They're holding themselves accountable as well as the players. The players are holding themselves accountable and other players, their teammates. So that's the type of camaraderie you need on a team, on a football team, any sports team, but most notably a football team. You got to have a winning culture, because when you have that hard mentality, that brotherhood culture where everybody's playing for each other, there's no selfishness, there's no everybody's got the chemistry, right? Everybody's fighting for each other, and, for the team and for the benefit of the team. When you have guys bought in like that, and the talent continues to grow, you're going to win football games. You're going to win championships. That's how championships are won, right? So that's how it's got to be done. And I know the Detroit Lions want to be on that stage holding up the Lombardi Trophy when it's all said and done. And I believe they can get there. At some point, I know that's a bold take, but I think they can get there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think that the Detroit Lions can be a playoff team next year? Can they continue this upward trend that they're going on? Let me know what you think. And can they continue to just climb up there? And just keep getting better, keep growing, keep getting the right guys in the building, right? And I want to touch on that here for a second. So, like I mentioned earlier, the offense did great this year. Averaged 251 passing yards a game, which was 8th in the NFL. They finished with 128 rushing yards per game, good for 11th in the NFL. But however, the defense finished 32 out of 32 as far as total defense. Not good. The Lions were a team that you could move the ball up and down against them very well, and very easily. That's an issue. Because in today's league, especially with the passing game and how things just continuing to evolve, right? You gotta be able to stop that. You gotta be able to have a pass rush to win football games. You have to be able to get to the quarterback, and that's something the Lions have not been able to do very well. Aiden Hutchinson is great, man. He's a stud. He's a beast. He's only going to continue to get better, but they got to get some other pieces outside of him. Some solid pass rushers. Not even flashy guys, just some, a guy that can get to the quarterback. Like a Robert Quinn type of guy, or a pass rusher like that. Maybe not a big name, but somebody who can come in and just consistently rush the passer. A Frank Clark, right? Somebody like that. That's the type of guy you need if you're Detroit. But my specific free agent targets for them are Levante David, middle linebacker from Tampa Bay. David, of course, finished top in the league in tackles this year. He's getting up there in age, but he's a very smart player. So obviously a Super Bowl champion with the Bucks a couple years ago. He's a guy he's physical. He's tough. He's the type of player that you need is roaming in the middle of that defense. He's a veteran. And obviously people don't they undervalue the presence of veterans. I think this is a big thing that gets missed in football and in virtually every sport. It's like veterans are extremely important to teams. Like guys, even if they don't play much, like it's the age, the experience, the wisdom. Just the support that they provide for the younger players. Even to the coaches. Seeing things that they don't see on the field, right? So those are the that is the importance of having veterans, key veterans on your team, right? That's the importance of that. You look at the Eagles. They having Hassan Reddick out there, a vet. Um, James Bradbury in that secondary, Darius Slay, guys who've been here, done that, in this league, and adding them to the team. You see, they went to the Super Bowl, and for the Chiefs side, the same thing, right? Juju Smith-Schuster, a veteran, uh, defensively, you had guys like Frank Clark, as I mentioned earlier. He's a vet. He's a team player. Chris Jones, just guys like that. That they've been there, they've done that. Maybe been to a Super Bowl or two. Just to be in that locker room, be that overwhelming, that presence there to help uplift players and help teach them, mentor them. It's a very important aspect to have on any team, any sports team, particularly in football. And that's the thing that the Detroit Lions need. You have Jared Goff, you have Jamal Williams, you have some of these guys here on defense, right? But you need some more. You need some vets. You need a James Bradbury type of guy, Levante David type of guy, and maybe an Evan Ingram, right? Those are some guys I really want to see the Lions try to go after in free agency, because they just need players. They just need players, guys who can go make plays, and get after it. And I think Levante David would be a great pickup for them in the middle of the field. Like I said, top of the league in tackles this year. He's still very intelligent mind out there. Watching him obviously in NFC South for all these years with the Bucks, he's very talented. Evan Ingram, revived his season with the Jaguars this year. He had a great season there after kind of disappearing in New York with the Giants, and he came to Jacksonville, and it was a good vibe for him. So, and I probably expect him to be re-signed by the Jaguars. I don't know if they want to keep him around. I mean, if it was me, I would, but at the same time, a lot of teams are going to be pursuing him. Veteran tight end, he can still play. He's good after the catch. Solid blocker. Those are some things I think the Lions need to go after. Because obviously your offense is pretty much set. You got your number one receiver. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, and DJ Chark is a solid number two. If you keep him around, he's 26 years old. He's still young. So the Lions have a couple of options they have here as far as what they want to do to build their team. And a lot of people keep asking, do they need to draft a quarterback? Uh, I would draft a quarterback if I'm the Lions this year. I would, maybe like in second or third round. This year obviously Golf is still going to be your starter in 2023, but just depending on how he does, if for some reason he falls flat on his back, then you slide a guy in there that you're confident in, that you think can come in and manage the game for you to enough to win the game, not do anything crazy, just enough to come in and make the right decisions, make the right throws, make the right reads, make the right plays, and win your football games. Then yeah, I would take a quarterback from the Lions. You got a couple good prospects here, not that many, but a couple. That might slide here and there, and that all depends on the combine and things like that. So we'll see how that goes as we move closer and closer to the draft. But or you target a guy in free agency. As far as you got some solid free agent quarterbacks out there. But to me, they need to draft a quarterback, because having Tim Boyle and David Blau as your backups is not a good option. So. But yeah, those are my free agent targets for the Lions. That's what I think they need to do in free agency when it opens up on March 15th. And so, yeah, you guys let me know what you think in the comments. How would you rate the Detroit Lions season in 2022? How did they do? Did they meet your expectations, or did they fall below them, exceed them? Let me know what you think, especially you Detroit fans out there. But now we're going to be switching to our Around the League segment here as we move into that. So this news, of course, broke a couple of days ago. But Eric Bienemy being hired as offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. This is huge for Washington, for Eric Bienemy as well. I mean, he's a guy that a lot of people have been wanting to get a head coaching job. He's been interviewed over the last couple of off seasons. Nothing's manifested. He's still come back to Kansas City to be the OC After those interviews, he didn't really go anywhere and he didn't get hired. But now he gets hired as the OC in Washington under Ron Rivera. You got Sam Howell, you got some solid receivers, young receivers. Obviously, Terry McLaurin, a Pro Bowler, De'Ami Brown, Jahan Dotson, the rookie this year. The Commanders have some very solid players offensively, and Brian Robinson coming out of the backfield, that type of bruiser back. He's not like a complete bruiser, but he's tough. He's tough between the tackles. He can evade defenders like that. The type of running back that Eric Reed really, I'm sorry, on that Eric Bienemy hasn't really been able to work with under Andy Reid in Kansas City. I kind of thought Clyde Edwards-Helaire was going to be that guy. He wasn't. So now you have a guy like Brian Robinson, and going back to his Alabama days, he's always been a guy that he's tough. He's going to get you yards. He's very physical. But at the same time, he can be elusive as well. So that's something to keep an eye on. He's only going to keep getting better too, right? So yeah, this is a good pickup for the Commanders. In my opinion, I think it's huge actually. But it's going to be Eric Bieniemy's chance to prove himself as an offensive play caller in this league. Can he create a consistent offensive identity for this Washington team who will have a different quarterback this year? And that's most likely going to be Sam Howell. And unless unless it's a trade or a free agent pickup, but more likely than not, Sam Howell will be the starting quarterback when the 2023 season rolls around for the Commanders. So I just want to see an offensive identity created for them. Can they make a name for themselves as we're the team that does this? We're this type of offensive team. Everybody's got their identity. Kansas City, they're going to air it out. We already know what they're going to do. The seams across the middle of the field, they're going to beat you deep, all that kind of stuff, right? And you got the Titans. We're going to run you over with Derrick Henry. But what's going to be the identity for the Commanders? So that's what I'm interested to see. I want to see how Eric Bieniemy does here. I'm really, really wanting to see how this happens, see how this works out. So, in other news, the franchise tag window has opened up around the NFL today. So, any unrestricted free agent will not, any unrestricted player that's not tagged in this period will be able to sign with any team on March 15th. So, their franchise tag window is open up until March 7th. So, what the franchise tag basically is if an NFL team and a player if they're not able to negotiate on a long term deal, what they can do is they can franchise tag that player and pay him a set amount until they either get a deal done or they can trade them. Or because the franchise tag is only good for one season, so then that player will be able to leave after the season. And so a lot of candidates to watch out for this franchise tag are obviously Lamar Jackson. That's a big name that's been coming up. Will he sign that tag worth around $45 million with the Ravens? Signs are pointing to that he will, but the Ravens could trade him, is on that tag. You're still able to do that. So that's something to keep an eye on because they have not been able to come to terms on a contract extension there for Lamar. And you also got Daniel Jones with the Giants. His tag would be worth around maybe $32 million, something like that. Him and the Giants have not been able to agree on a long-term deal. Saquon Barkley, the same deal. You also got Deron Payne, defense tackle for the Commanders. They're in a situation right now where they're in a process like about to sell the team pretty soon. You're gonna have new leadership. Eric Bieniemy's coming in. A lot of changes are gonna be coming to the Commanders soon. And you want a pillar like Deron Payne, who had his best statistical season this year with 11 and a half sacks, to come back and be a strong foundation in that locker room and on that team. And for the Las Vegas Raiders, Josh Jacobs will be an unrestricted free agent. So will they use a tag on him? Or will they give him a long-term deal? If I was Raiders, I wouldn't. You lose your starting quarterback, Derek Carr. He's gone. So how much is that going to play a role in it? I don't know. But that's something to keep an eye on. Orlando Brown, offensive tackle for the Chiefs. He played on the franchise tag last year. So I doubt he keeps wanting to play on this tag. But if you're winning Super Bowls, why not? And you're going to Super Bowls, why not? But for me, I just think that I don't know, man. Like I don't know. It's crazy. It's almost like NFL, man. It's why we do it. It's why we cover it. It's so fun. It's so interesting. You don't know what's going to happen But Orlando Brown, he played on the franchise tag last year. Will he play on it this year? Yeah, I don't know. Something to also keep an eye on. So, but like I said, this window is open until March 7th. So now teams will have this time from today until March 7th to place guys on the franchise tag, or come to terms with them on a long contract extension. So we'll see what happens with that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about these players, and will they get franchise tagged, and who will go where, who might resign long term. Just let me know your thoughts. Just put it in the comment section here. I'm also on Twitter. Let me know your thoughts there. And so yeah, just make sure you guys subscribe, check us out, comment, let us know what you think. And as we keep moving forward here in this off season, if you want up to the minute updates, just please check us out, follow us, subscribe to us on Jay's Fifth Down. We'll have you cover everything you need to know for the NFL and college football as well. So this is the off season, guys. We made it. We're in the off season. We're now in the part where players might leave, go to different teams. We saw last year was crazy, so who's to say what happens this year, right? So make sure you guys stay tuned for the episodes coming up this week and moving forward. But thank you guys. It's been a pleasure. I'm always here. Jay Sit Down, your host, Jane Gay, signing off. See you guys next time.